Okay, let's talk about a feeling that I think we all know, our relationship with time. It's gotten kind of weird, right? In this digital world, whole hours can vanish in what feels like minutes, while a few actual minutes can feel like an eternity. So today we're going to dive into why that's happening and a really fascinating new idea for what we can do about it. Let me ask you this. Have you ever grabbed your phone, promising yourself it's just a quick 5-minute break, and then you look up and an entire hour is just gone? Poof, vanished. You can't even remember what you were looking at. Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. Well, it turns out that feeling isn't just you being bad with time. It actually has a name: algorithmic time dilation. It's a brand new concept that explains how the very platforms we use every single day are built to actively mess with our perception of time. So, how does this even happen? How do we get here? Let's get into it. We'll start by looking at how our natural internal sense of time gets hijacked and warped, leaving us feeling, well, disconnected. Here's the most important thing to get. This is not an accident. It's not a bug. It is 100% by design. In what they call the attention economy, these platforms are engineered from the ground up to make you lose your sense of how much time is passing. This leads to a state called chronometric alienation, which is just a fancy way of saying we become strangers to our own internal clock. Now, if that alienation goes on long enough, it can turn into this chronic condition that researchers are starting to call dyschronia. The best way to picture it, it's like having a permanent, low-grade case of jet lag. Your body's clock is just ticking along at its normal human pace, but it's completely out of sync with the crazy, frantic, machine gun pace of the digital world. Okay, so what does this dyschronia actually feel like on a normal Tuesday? Let's dig a little deeper into how this conflict plays out inside our own heads. So this really gets to the heart of the matter. You've basically got two clocks inside you, and they're always fighting. On one side, you've got your biological rhythms. These are ancient, steady, based on things like the sun rising and setting. And on the other side, you've got algorithmic speed. It's super high frequency, totally erratic, and it's designed for one thing and one thing only: to keep you scrolling. It's a constant battle for who's in charge of your attention. And the result of this internal tug of war isn't just about losing track of time. It creates a very specific emotional state. The research calls it standby anxiety. You know that feeling? That constant, humming sense of being on, waiting for the next ping, the next notification, the next refresh. You never feel like you can truly rest because those internal clocks are always at war. Now, I know this all sounds a bit bleak, but here's the good news. There's a solution that's been designed for this very modern problem. It's time to talk about what's being called the analog cure. It's a whole new framework called chronometric re-embodiment therapy, or CRT for short. It was developed by a researcher named Bert, and it's a direct response to that algorithmic time dilation we were just talking about. The whole point is to help us consciously get back in touch with and literally reclaim our own sense of time. So how does this actually work in practice? Honestly, the best way to think about CRT is like a workout plan for your mind. It's a set of real, practical exercises that are designed to strengthen and rebuild that inner clock that's been thrown so out of whack. The whole therapy is built around 3 really clear, really actionable steps. It's all about finding your anchor, building your brakes, and then training for the wait. Let's break down what each of those actually means. Okay, step 1 is finding what's called an analog anchor. Now, the most crucial part here is that this has to be a completely non-digital activity, something that has its own pace, that you just can't rush. Think about something like baking bread. You can't make the yeast rise any faster. Or gardening, which has to follow the rhythm of the seasons. This activity, whatever it is, becomes your master clock. It forces your brain to slow down, to sync back up with a real physical process, and it basically retrains you on what real embodied time actually feels like. Next up, you have to build your brakes. See, digital platforms are masters at removing what we call stopping cues. Think about it. Infinite scroll, autoplay videos. There's never an end of the page that tells your brain, okay, time to stop now. So the point of this step is to consciously build those stopping points back into your life so you can take back control. This could be something as simple as using an old school kitchen timer for when you're online, or something as serious as installing a physical kill switch for your Wi-Fi. And that brings us to the final step: train for the wait. This is all about rebuilding what the therapy calls your muscle of duration. Think about it. Our ability to just tolerate being bored has basically disappeared because we can fill every single empty second with a screen. So this training is about intentionally exposing yourself to tiny moments of waiting when you're in line at the store, at a red light, and just resisting that automatic urge to pull out your phone. It's like strength training for your patience, and it makes you so much more resilient to that digital pull. Okay, so you find your anchor, you build your brakes, you train your patience muscle. What's the end goal here? What does winning even look like? The ultimate goal is to resolve a condition that Tan calls temporal schizophrenia. Now, I know, that sounds incredibly intense, but just stick with me. It's simply the clinical term for that deep split we've been talking about, that huge gap between the super fast brain speed the digital world demands and the much slower, more grounded reality of our own bodies. And this quote from Albert Tan himself just sums it all up perfectly. The goal isn't to get rid of technology entirely. Not at all. It's about healing that internal split. It's about realigning your mind with your body so they can finally exist in the same time zone again. So, as we wrap up, it really all comes down to one big question for you to think about. If the way back to feeling whole again starts with reconnecting to real-world time, what is your analog anchor? What's that one non-digital thing in your life that could be your master clock? It's definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for tuning in.